Hello everyone, Board Game Lawyer here. It is a Saturday evening and I am in the mood to play some Marvel Champions from Fantasy Flight Games. So let's get down to the table. Let's see what I'm going to be playing with tonight. So this evening I'm going to play with Nebula. I think that's my favorite Guardians of the Galaxy character in the game, Nebula. And so I decided to build a leadership deck with Nebula. This time it's a 50 card deck, which I normally build 40 card decks, but in this case I built a 50 card deck. And the reason why I did that was to I want to try to build up some ally support, and I want to kind of spread out the techniques. What I find with a 40 card deck is I tend to draw into my techniques and I end up using them oftentimes for resources. So I'm just going to test this out. This is one of those 5/10 minute decks that I like to build, and so I thought I'd test it out this evening against Sandman. So let's find out a little bit about Sandman. I play standard tonight, and so Sandman on his Hapless Pedestrians main scheme says that we're going to use Sandman 1 and 2. Also, we're to include City and Chaos and the standard encounter sets and one modular encounter set. I decided to toss into, why not? Let's bring some friends for Sandman tonight. So I'm going to use Electro, which is Power Drain, and a Mess of Things, which is Scorpion. These are a couple of Sandman's buddies, so we'll throw those in and see how that mixes things up. So that is the contents of the encounter deck this evening. Our setup tells us to search the encounter deck for the city streets environment and put it into play and place 4 sand counters on it. So here's our city streets environment next to our main scheme here. It has that, it's a location. It has the Surging Sand special ability on it, which is to place 1 sand counter here. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. Here's the hero action. Exhaust a character you control. Remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack limit once per round. So how does this special go off? Well, let's take a look at Sandman. It says when Sandman attacks you, that attack deals indirect damage. If your identity takes any amount of damage from that attack, resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets. Okay, so that's one way to do it. There's some other options in the deck that will allow us to trigger that as well, as we would expect. But that's city streets, the environment. Place a sand counter here. Discard cards on the top of the deck equal to the number of sand counters. It starts with 4, so if that thing goes off early, that's a lot of cards that's cycling through. So Hapless Pedestrians, let's go ahead and flip over to our other side, which is side 1B. And here it's where it tells us that Sandman floods the city streets with rushing sands, putting innocent bystanders in great danger. And there is a forced response. After an acceleration token is placed on the scheme, deal 3 indirect damage to the first player. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game. So yeah, acceleration tokens happen whenever the encounter deck runs out, so I may be cheating by throwing in an extra modular set, but hey, this is my game tonight, and this is how we'll play. So, as we'll see on the main scheme, that there are 2 threat that start on it, and it threats out at 9. And it's the only one. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game, so we got to keep the threat down, and we got to guard ourselves against blasted with the sand. Okay. So that's everything for the Sandman setup. Nebula tells us that she has a recovery of 3 in her alter ego form. She's also an outlaw with cybernetic upgrades. This is a response. After playing a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards, and this is a limit of once per round. So that's one of the reasons why I like Nebula, is you kind of try to flip back and forth to take advantage of a really powerful alter ego action response. After you play technique upgrade, draw 2 cards. And let's see if I got any in my opening hand here. I didn't look at it yet. So we have evasive maneuvering, which is a technique, and we got another one, cutthroat ambition. So I have two upgrades that are techniques that allow me to draw extra cards, and I got Nebula ship. All right, because that gives us a resource that we can generate, and I did get strength, which will pay for Nebula strip. So this is a really good hand. Opening hand. The only thing is I don't have any allies in my hand, and so I may choose to toss the blaster and the spiral. I've got extra copies of these in my deck anyway, so I may try to see if there's something else that I can grab as to kind of set me up, since I'm not going to be able to do anything with those just yet. So all right, so this is part of my mulligan. So I'm tossing off 2 cards, draw 2. I got Lethal Intent, which is choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the orders of your choice. That's good. And we also got, ooh, dangerous. The symbiote suit. I'm always tempted to throw that on right out of the gate. It might make the people I play with mad. Looking at you, Steve. But your identity gets +1 to each of its basic powers, +1 hand size, and 10 hit points. It does deal an additional encounter card, though, if I were to throw on those clothes this early. So I may or may not. Let's see what happens whenever I throw down one of these techniques. Let's see what cards I draw. That might make a big difference. So I'm definitely going to use that wild resource to pay for either Cutthroat Ambition or... Let's take a look at Lethal Intent. It says choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of the special abilities. So special ability on Cutthroat Ambition is to remove 3 threat from a scheme. And the special ability is to choose to either stun or confuse an enemy, which both of those could be really valuable here on the first turn of the game. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend 2 resources. I'm going to spend the strength to put out the Nebula ship. And then I'm going to, because this is a resource and it's not a hero resource, I can use that in either form. Exhaust Nebula's ship to generate a wild resource. And I'm going to put out evasive maneuvering. Okay, now when I do that, I get to trigger my cybernetic upgrades, which is a response. After you play a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards. So here's our first one, and it's my booster boots. And my next one is my endurance, and I likes me some endurance. Yeah. Let's see what we can now afford. Lethal Intent. I gotta spend 2 resources to put out Lethal Intent, though. No, I don't have to. It says X resources, so I could just trigger one of these. Let's see how that works out. So if I spend, let's say the symbiote suit, we're not going to use it, and put out the Cutthroat Ambition. This will allow me to remove threat from a scheme. I could spend either these 2 resources, Endurance or Booster Boots, and trigger Lethal Intent. I could hang on to Endurance and just trigger Evasive Maneuvering. I might hang on to Endurance. I don't really need it right now this turn, especially if I stun him, which he is you can stun him. He doesn't have any. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to flip over to my hero side. I'm going to spin the Booster Boots. That's going to be a resource to play Lethal Intent. Spending 1 resource. Choose up to X technique upgrades you control. We're gonna choose evasive maneuvering to stun Sandman. Okay. Add a stun. Should I spend the extra resource to remove the threat? Nah, I don't think so, because this will trigger on my next turn, Cutthroat Ambition, and we're gonna add ideally just 1 threat to the main scheme, so that'll get full benefit if I just leave it out there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend Booster Boots to play Lethal Intent, stun Sandman, and then with Nebula, I think I'm going to start removing some of these city street markers. So it says a hero action, exhaust a character you control, remove sand counters from here equal to that character's attack, and you can do this unlimited once per round. So we're going to do that with Nebula. We'll remove 2 sand counters because my attack is 2 currently on Nebula, and that is going to end my turn. So let's advance the phase and turn things back over to Sandman. Let's look at our hands. So we got Endurance, which we knew. We got Calm Implants, which is not a card I use very often, but that's the other thing about building different decks with different aspects and trying out different things. Get a chance to maybe play with cards that I don't normally play with. That's certainly one of them. I've got Clarity of Purpose, which is attached to a friendly character. Usually I like to try to amp up my allies and throw Clarity of Purpose on. But it says attached to a friendly character, so I could certainly put that on Nebula. And we've got Combat Ready, which is an event. It's an alter ego form. Shuffle up to 2 technique upgrades from your discard pile into your deck. Discard cards on top of your deck until you discard a technique upgrade. So that's our hand. It's Sandman's turn. We're going to place 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. The force response says after an acceleration token is placed on the scheme, so it has nothing to do with placing threat there, just acceleration tokens. Sandman is not going to attack Nebula because he's stunned. And the encounter card that is dealt is the Dirt Trap. It says, when defeated, this is a side scheme, when defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets, and then resolve it again. Okay, so we got our Dirt Trap. That's the end of Sandman's turn. We'll turn things back over to Nebula. Let's see what we can do. So we have these combat protocols, which is a force response. After your turn begins, resolve the special ability on each technique upgrade you control, then discard each technique upgrade and resolve this way. Okay, so we're going to remove 3 threat from a scheme from Cutthroat Ambition. So we'll discard Cutthroat Ambition, remove all the threat from Hapless Pedestrians. Looks like we have a new viewer to the channel. Sanelsiub, thanks for joining me this evening. Thanks for coming in, watching the game. So we just triggered our first technique upgrade, and then we're going to choose. We're going to do our second one. It says choose to either stun or confuse an enemy. Well, I think in this case we are going to. Let's see, what do I have to spend? Yeah. I think I'm going to confuse Mr. Sandman. Add a confuse. And we'll discard evasive maneuvering. Alright. So I got my Nebula ship. I can use it as a resource. I can certainly put out endurance now, and I can afford to pay for clarity of purpose. Calm implants does not do us any good right now because we don't have any guardian allies on the table. And so I think what I'll do is first I will use Nebula's attack ability to remove 2 sand counters from the city streets, to remove the last one from it. And then Clarity of Purpose is a hero resource. Exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to attached character to generate a wild resource. So I'm going to exhaust Nebula's ship, spending that 1 resource to put Clarity of Purpose onto Nebula. Okay. Bring to the front. And now we can exhaust this card, deal 1 damage to Nebula, and generate a wild resource, and we'll do that to put out endurance. So we'll do 1 damage to Nebula. We'll put out endurance, which is going to give us some health. So 1, 2, 3. Now our max health is 12, and I can add 3 more health to Nebula. I've got that Combat Ready card, which is to shuffle up to 2 technique upgrades from your discard pile into your deck. That's an alter ego action, or I can discard cards on the top of the deck until I discard a technique upgrade and put that upgrade into play and resolve its special ability, which I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to flip over to my alter ego form. Now this says to put the technique upgrade, put that upgrade into play. So we're not actually playing it, we're putting it into play. And the cybernetic upgrades response says after you play a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards. So I could go find an upgrade, but the downside is that it's not considered playing it. But at least I'll get one out on the table. So I'm going to use Combat Ready, or I could cycle those 2 techniques that I discarded earlier, which are both very powerful. So that might be the good idea. Hey, Lexicon, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the chat. Just playing a little Nebula against Sandman this evening. Sandman's got his buddies Electro and Scorpion hanging out. And I'm going to try to play some Guardians. Yeah. I like Nebula too. She's my favorite of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think earlier when I did kind of like a tier list of heroes, I put her down low, but I have really come to love playing Nebula. She's my favorite Guardians character now. I'm going to play Combat Ready to just take those two techniques that I just tossed and just cycle those right back into my deck. I think that's the right thing to do. Could go get one with it, but then I'm just cycling through my deck, and it might be a while before I find one. So there we go. Combat Ready. I can't do anything with the Power in All of Us. Can't do anything with Calm Implants right now. So I think what I'll do is I'll just discard Calm Implants in my turn, advance the phase, turn things over to Sandman, and let's see what we drew. So I got 6 cards. I got the Power in All of Us, Evasive Maneuvering, Cutthroat Ambition, Downtime, Wide Stance, and Unyielding Persistence. So lots of upgrades. I got like a full round of upgrades here, as well as Downtime, the Power in All of Us. So not bad. All right, so we're going to place 1 threat on Hapless Pedestrians. Sandman's confused, so he's not going to scheme. And he's going to draw an encounter card. The encounter card he draws is the Lightning Bolt. It says, when revealed, discard 2 cards from the encounter deck. Take 1 indirect damage for each boost icon discarded this way. Alright, so let's go over to the encounter deck. We're going to discard 2 cards. I'll just flip them out on the table here. Here's the first one. And it's got, ooh, Rhino. It's got 3 boost icons on it. Wow. And then we've got Sand Smash, which is another one. So I take 4 indirect damage. I just have 1 character on the table. So 1, 2, 3, 4 indirect damage onto Nebula. Let me look at his text here. It says, when Sandman attacks you, if that attack deals indirect damage, your identity takes any amount of damage from the attack. So it's only if he attacks me do I place that counter on the Surging Sands ability on City Streets. So, but that's a big one. That was a big hit there. Rhino for 4. And Sand Smash for another 1. So 4 damage. Alright. So now it's my turn. Let's turn things back over to Nebula. I will get out one of these upgrades so I can draw some cards. So this one here is Evasive Maneuvering. It says that Nebula ignores the Guard keyword, the Patrol keyword, and the Crisis icon. The specialists choose to either stun or confuse an enemy, so that's always good. We got Cutthroat Ambition, where we can remove lots of threat. We've got Downtime. I can boost my recovery. Wide Stance, which allows me to cycle through the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and discard 1, put the rest back in any order. And a +1/+1 thwart attack, with Nebula getting the tough status card when that triggers. So let's put out Evasive Maneuvering. We're going to spend our Nebula ship to do that. And again, this triggers our Cybernetic Upgrades response. So I get to draw 2 cards. So I pick up First Aid, and I pick up Genius. I don't have any 2-costers. I'm starting to build up some resources here, but I haven't found any allies yet. Yep, got an electric sandstorm happening here. Turning things to glass. Alright, so Evasive Maneuvering is on the table. If I put my Downtime out now, when I recover, and I think I will, I'm going to put this upgrade on the table. I'm going to use First Aid to pay for it. So now I'm going to recover for 3 + 2. So I'll just go ahead and do that. To go up to 12. Right, and that's my max health is 12 right now because I have endurance on me. I could put out Unyielding Persistence. I could put out Wide Stance. I could put out Cutthroat Ambition. I think Wide Stance is coming out. I'll spend, unfortunately, the power in all of us to pay for that. And I'll put Cutthroat Ambition out, and I'll use... No, I didn't do that. I'm going to put Unyielding Persistence out, and I'll use Cutthroat Ambition to pay for that. Then I'll flip to my hero form. And I could have damaged myself to put out one of those upgrades, but then I want to hang on to that Genius card, I think. So that's going to be the end of my turn. Advance the phase. Have not seen any allies so far. There we go. We got some allies. We got Yondu, and I got Cosmo, Inspired, and the Triskelion. So not bad. I could put out an ally next turn. All right, so Hapless Pedestrians, place 1 threat on it. Sandman is going to attack Nebula. He's going to attack for 2. Likely sand counter will get placed on city streets. I think I'm just going to take the damage. So yeah, Sandman's going to attack for 3. So I'll take 3 damage. This is indirect damage. And then city streets is going to get hit. We're going to place 1 sand counter here. And then discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters. So let's do that. So we discard a Gang Up. Not sad to see that go. And then here is the encounter card. It is Shock Therapy. So we see another power drain card. Discard 1 per player cards from the encounter deck. The villain heals 1 damage for each boost icon discarded this way. Let's see. I think we still got Sandman at full strength, so we'll discard 1. And he's going to heal for 1, which he's already maxed out. So, all right. We'll discard those. Not sad to see that this turn. And that's going to end Sandman's turn. Okay, so we're gonna trigger at the beginning of my turn these according to Nebula's ability, her combat protocols. After your turn begins, resolve the special ability on each technique. So Wide Stance says that I can look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, discard 1, and put the others back in any order. We can also give Nebula a tough status card. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll discard that one to give me a tough status card. Don't have to think much about that one. This one here says to choose. Oh, you know what? From each attack by 1. Let's see. Evasive Maneuvering says to choose to either stun or confuse the enemy. We are going to stun Sandman. I'm going to add a stun to him. Now we need to keep that in mind when we do the Wide Stance. Because if he's not drawing a boost, then that card's going to end up being his encounter card. So let's trigger the Wide Stance special. Look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. They are Shadow of the Past. Ooh, gotta get rid of that. Tail Sweep, which is a when revealed, Scorpion attacks you. If no attack was made this way, you are stunned. And then we've got Sand Form, which is attached to Sandman. When you reveal any amount of damage to Sandman, discard Sand Form instead. Resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets. So I think for sure I'm going to toss off Shadow of the Past. The card that's most likely going to get dealt to me is a Stunned. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll put the Tail Sweep on top of the encounter deck. Okay, so there's our Wide Stance. Do I want to do it that way? Well, I'm still in this turn. I'm still in this action. Because I do have a Cosmo. So I could flip a card. So if I flip a card and I call attachment, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I may put Cosmo out. So we'll do the tail sweep there. We'll put the sand form on top now. Yeah, that's how we're going to do wide stance. Discard that. Okay. Yeah, I think Cosmo is going to show up. Because I can pay 2 for Cosmo using the Genius. Give him some inspired, which never hurts. City Streets. Now this is a hero action. Exhaust a character you control, so doesn't take damage anyway. Yondu. Yondu doesn't take damage whenever he attacks. Yondu's attacks gain ranged and nor retaliate. So Yondu's awesome. I like Yondu. And then this is resolve the Surging Sands ability on City Streets. Yeah, resolve it again. Okay. How about I just put out Yondu? I'll use one of Nebula's ship resources. I'll use the Genius card. And I'll use Clarity of Purpose. Exhaust this card. Deal 1 damage to attached character. If I deal 1 damage, I'll lose my tough. Which may not be bad. He's stunned. And in that case, I could put out Cosmo. I'd have enough resources for it. So yeah, I'll just ping my tough. Right? And then I can still afford to put out Cosmo as well. Yep, that's how I'm going to handle it. Okay. And then, so if we exhaust, say, Yondu. No, we'll do Cosmo to remove the threat off of the dirt trap. That's how we'll do this one. Yep. So Cosmo, we'll exhaust Cosmo to remove 1 threat off of the dirt trap. So when defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on City Streets and resolve it again. So right now there's there's 2. So we'll put another counter on the City Streets. So we'll discard 2 cards. We got Sand Form, and then this one, which is Tail Sweep. Oh, I was supposed to call Cosmo's card, so we were going to say that attachment. Yeah, so attachment, so he doesn't take consequential damage. So the next card would be is Electromagnetic Pulse. Because that's 1 for City Streets. We do it again, place another on there, and then we got to do 1 more. Yeah, that's how it works. And then the dirt trap gets discarded. So all these cards go in the discard pile. City Streets, dirt trap goes in the discard pile. Okay, good. All right. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Nebula is going to remove... She's going to remove 2 sand counters. And Yondu is going to attack Sandman and going to hit him for 1. He does not take consequential damage for that. So Cosmo doesn't take consequential damage. We were going to call that. That's why we stacked the deck for Cosmo, so that we could choose the attachment. And then Yondu doesn't take consequential damage. Nebula takes 2 off of the City Streets. We have our endurance and downtime. We're at 9 right now on our health. Sandman stun. Clarity of Purpose has been used. So that's the end of my turn. Let's turn things back over to Sandman. Oh good, we got spam. Yay. Yay, spam. Alright, so Sandman's turn. He's going to place 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. Now he's going to attack us, but he's not because he's stunned. The encounter card that's dealt is Now or Never. Peril. Can't help me. Out lexicon. It says, while you're resolving this card, other players cannot help you. When revealed, choose. Place 1 acceleration token on the main scheme. I'm considering you a player, buddy. Because I'm also taking suggestions, so jump right on in if you see something you think I should do differently. When revealed, choose, place 1 acceleration token on the main scheme, exhaust a character you control, and spend 1 resource of any type. Well, I tell you what, why don't we just exhaust Cosmo, and we'll spend a resource. We'll just do that wild resource for the Nebula ship. So that's an hour never. I don't really want an acceleration token right now. All right, let's see what we got in our hand. Let's turn things over to Nebula. So Yondu, can we add any attachments to him? We can't. We do have team building exercise. That'll help us to reduce the cost to play some characters. I got Gamora, which is great. And I got the Weapons Master, which is deal 4 damage to an enemy. If I flip down to the hero, to my alter ego form, can I afford it? Let's see. Team building exercise. In order to get the discount to put Gamora out, I would have to be in hero form for team building exercise, but it'll allow me to put Gamora out. I just wouldn't be able to trigger that Weapons Master unless I do this. Let's see. 1, 2... Nah, I still can't do it. I don't have enough to put it all out. So, Yondu is going to remove that sand counter from city streets. Nebula is going to remove 2 threat from hapless pedestrians. I'll do a damage to myself using... No. Let's do this. Let's do the team building exercise. We're going to spend 2 resources, our energy resources, to play the team building exercise. And do I want to put Drax out? Gamora's not doing me any good right now. After you play Gamora, choose a technique upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. Don't have any technique upgrades out. I could. Still couldn't do it. So the discount for team building exercise is what will allow us to get... Maybe I just hang on to Gamora. I could flip down. Weapons Master. How about I exhaust team building exercise. We'll deal 1 damage to Nebula, and we'll spend Weapons Master to put out our buddy Drax. Yep. Let's give ourselves some room here. Getting a little bit bunched up now. So I got 3 allies out. Drax, he says, play if your identity has the Guardian trait. Drax cannot attack minions. So we're going to attack Sandman with Drax. Takes him down to 12. Place 1 damage onto... consequential damage onto Drax. So Cosmo didn't take any damage. Alright. Move my cards down. Kind of rearrange the board here. We're starting to get a little bit of a board state build up. And that will end my turn. I could stay in hero form, or I could flip down to alter ego form. Either one. I'm going to stay in hero form. All right. So I've got my 3 allies here. My team building exercise. We got Lethal Intent, Power of Leadership, Cutthroat Ambition, Guardians of the Galaxy. If each of your characters has the Guardian trait, this card gains response. After you play an upgrade on an ally, draw a card. That's why I put those extra upgrades in here, but I don't have any in my hand right now. So, but you get some extra card draws that way. Placing 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. Sandman's going to attack Nebula. He's going to do so for 2 plus 0. So I'll take 2 indirect damage. And I can place that onto Let's just put it on Nebula. Why not? Yeah, because then we'll trigger our special on City Streets. Place one sand counter here. Discard cards from the encounter deck. And here they are. Gang Up goes away. That's not bad. And then here's our encounter card. And it is Calling in Favors. It says, when revealed, Rhino schemes with +2 scheme. If Rhino's not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Rhino minion and put him into play, engage with you, and shuffle. Well, let's just look through the encounter deck first, since we get a free peek. We know he's in the discard pile, but we can go search from there. Oh, not going to search my deck. I'm going to search the encounter deck. No cheating. No cheaty hero. Look at all cards in my player deck. So I've got... Yep, don't see Rhino there. I do have both my advances still in there. That's dangerous. Alright, I'm going to close and shuffle the deck. Then we're going to look in the discard pile for Rhino. And what do you know? There he is. Rhino's now into play. We'll discard Calling in Favors. I think that's it. All we did was go search for him and put him into play, engage with us. So... we'll discard that. Does he have anything? He's got Steady. Steady requires 2 status cards of the same type to be stunned or confused. And Rhino's attacks gain Overkill and Piercing. Not good. Alright, Guardians of the Galaxy. I got Gamora. I can't add any extra allies to the table just yet. I don't have anything to trigger at the beginning of my turn. So... my turn, we got to get rid of Rhino. He's got 8 health. Drax can't hit him. Drax cannot attack minions. Nebula can attack him, but she only does 2. Yondu does 1. Cosmo does 1. So Rhino's going to stick around. So we may flip down this turn, since Rhino doesn't scheme with much of a scheme at all. Yeah. Lethal Intent. Actually, that would be one. No, this is a way to remove threat. So... I do want to put Guardians of the Galaxy out. That is kind of what I built this. One of the things I built this deck around was Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to spend the Power of Leadership to put it out. Cutthroat Ambition. Yep, we'll spend the Nebula ship to put out Cutthroat Ambition. And then we'll... you know what? I can do that when I flip down. I am definitely going to flip down. Right? So I'll just wait. I'll flip down. Nebula is going to... let's see. Drax. We can exhaust Drax to remove the sand counter. Cosmo. Yondu. Yeah. So Cosmo is going to remove the counter from City Streets. Nebula is going to remove 2 threat from Hapless Pedestrians. Yondu's going to put 1 damage into Rhino. And Drax is going to put 3 damage into Sandman. Takes him down to 9. Gives Drax an additional... yeah, so now we're going to flip down. I think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, we're going to flip down to our alter ego form. Now we're going to spend the resource from Nebula's ship to put out Cutthroat Ambition, which allows us to draw 2 cards. We're going to draw Combat Ready, which is an alter ego. Oh, that's good. And we're going to draw another Lethal Intent, which is a hero action. So, how about... we could do a lot of damage with the Lethal Intents. But I think that my alter ego action is just going to be to go search for a couple of techniques and shuffle them into my deck. So shuffle up to 2 technique upgrades from your discard pile into your deck. I think that's what I want to do. Yep. Let's go look for 2 of those in my discard pile. And we'll take, let's take this Weapons Master. And we'll also take and grab... oh, do we have another Weapons Master? We've got Wide Stance. Look at the 3 cards. Yeah, we've got Cosmo out on the table. So how about those 2 cards? We'll shuffle those into our deck. I'm going to hang on the Lethal Intent and the other Lethal Intent. Maybe just one. I'll just hang on to one of those Lethal Intents. And I believe this is where I'm going to end my turn. Yep. Advance phase. Drop some cards. So there's Groot. I got Nowhere. Inspired. Weapons Master. Good. I'll be able to do some stuff on my next turn, hopefully. So Hapless Pedestrians. We're going to place one threat on Hapless Pedestrians. Sandman is going to scheme for 1 plus an additional 2. There's our obligation. Not sad to see that go. Whoops. 1, 2. Inferiority Complex. Discard that. Rhino's going to scheme for 0, and he's not villainous. So the encounter card that's dealt is a Sand Clone. X is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. When defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on city streets. So now we've got 2 minions on the table. No counters on city streets right now, so he's not doing any damage to us. I need to discard that combat ready. All right. Okay, my turn. So, on my turn, I would love to get Groot out. I would like to get Groot out. Wouldn't be bad to get Gamora out either. But I haven't taken much damage on these guys. So, Drax could do 3 damage. Let's focus on first using the Nebula ship to put out the Weapons Master. Okay. And then with the Weapons Master, it says, while in hero form, Nebula gains Retaliate, and Nebula in her hero form, her attacks gain Piercing and Overkill. Alright. So since I put that technique out on the table, I can draw 2 cards, and I've got Wide Stance, and I've got the Laser Blaster. Okay. The Guardians of the Galaxy says, if each of your characters has the Guardian trait, this card gains response after you play an upgrade or ally. Draw 1 card. Lethal Intent, I could stack the deck or remove threat, do damage. Got Wide Stance. Got some options on my turn. So I've got 6 health. I don't think I'm going to exhaust to heal. I'm just going to flip over to my hero form. Now I've got all Guardians on the table. I can... Oh boy, I can do that too. Yeah, that'd be great. Nowhere. I can do 1 damage to Nebula using Clarity of Purpose. And another resource. Let's use... In order to put Nowhere out, increase your ally limit by 1. After a player plays a Guardian ally, exhaust Nowhere, that player draws 1 card. Let's use Lethal Intent. We'll use Lethal Intent, and we'll do the damage on Nebula to put out Nowhere. Now I can spend 3 resources to put out Groot or Gamora. Let's do Gamora. Because I can increase my ally limit by 1. So I could put Gamora out. I'm going to have to spin some cards to do that. I'm going to have to, team building exercise, so that reduces it by 1. Nowhere in Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty cool. That's going to be able to draw me some cards. So to put Gamora out, we're going to exhaust team building exercise. We'll spin Groot. And I'll also spend Wide Stance. Okay. So now Gamora comes out into play. And I get to trigger, it says after a player plays a Guardian ally, exhaust Nowhere, that player draws a card. I also have a response on Gamora. And I've got a response. So we'll just do these responses one at a time. So Nowhere is going to respond. We're going to draw a card because we put out an ally, a Guardian ally. So we got team training. Guardians of the Galaxy does not have to exhaust. It says after you play an upgrade or ally, draw a card. So we'll draw another card. So we got Reinforced Suit. And then Gamora says after you play Gamora, choose a technique upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. We've got either removal of threat or dealing of 4 damage. And I think we'll do 4 damage into Rhino. Takes him up to 5. And it's just one technique, right, on Gamora. I think it says after you play Gamora, choose a technique upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. Good. Now we can start adding goodies to Yondu, because we've got Inspired, we've got Ranged Overkill, we got Team Training, and a Reinforced Suit. Team Training helps everybody, but I can draw extra cards if I put a gun, that laser blaster, on Yondu, and I spend, let's say, the Reinforced Suit to do that. Now we trigger again the Guardians of the Galaxy ability. If each of your characters has a Guardian trait, they all do. Just make sure. Yep, we all do. Then we trigger this again after you play an upgrade or ally. Draw a card. Unless that's been errated somewhere. We got Rocket Raccoon now. Then we can... I'm going to spend Team Training to put Inspired now onto Yondu, which is another upgrade on an ally I control. So now I get a +1 thwart and a +1 attack on Yondu. So now his attack is 3. And I get to draw a card. I got First Aid and Rocket Raccoon in my hand. Let's see. So we're going to get rid of the Sand Clone using Yondu. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping here. So I'm getting a pretty good board state. So downtime, endurance, clarity of purpose, and Nebula. Cutthroat, weapons master. Let's put Nowhere, Guardians of the Galaxy, team building exercise over here, and we'll put our 4 allies out here on the table. Which at this point we're only going to use Yondu and all of our these here. Okay. Exhaust Yondu to do 3 damage to the Sand Clone. When defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. Okay, so we'll place 1 counter on the city streets. Discard a card, and it is the Power Drain. Okay. And then, let's see. Nebula. We're going to do some First Aid on Nebula. So we'll use Rocket Raccoon to play First Aid, and we'll heal for 3 onto Nebula. Or heal Drax for 3. I think we'll heal Drax instead. We'll attack with him first. So we'll do 3 damage into Sandman. And then we'll put 1 consequential on the Drax. We'll use the First Aid then to clear all the damage off of Drax. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Discard that. We've got Gamora and Cosmo, and they could do damage to Rhino. So Gamora's going to put 2 into Rhino. And then Cosmo, we haven't looked at the top of the deck yet, of the encounter deck, this turn. I don't believe. So he may just take some damage. So Cosmo's going to attack Rhino. And we'll say that is a... I will say it's a minion. I haven't seen too many minions yet. So we will discard the top card of the encounter deck. And it is caught off guard, so that's not a minion. So Cosmo's going to take 1 consequential damage, but that does get rid of Rhino. And then Nebula. Oh, I could have used Cosmo to take off the city streets. But Nebula's going to do 2 damage into Sandman. Knock him down to 4. Alright. Thanks, Lexicon. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's a fun setup. I love getting these allies out like this. So we'll advance the phase, turn things back over to Sandman. What do we get in our hand? We got another Guardians of the Galaxy. It's 1 per player, so it's going to end up being a resource. We got Honorary Guardian. We've got Weapons Master, Wide Stance, and First Aid in my hand. Placing 1 threat on hapless pedestrians. Sandman is going to attack Nebula. Should I just allow it to happen? Or, yeah, we're just going to let it happen. So he's going to attack for 2. I could place 2 damage into someone. I could put 2 into Drax because it's indirect. And then I won't... let's see, Gamora needed to take 1 consequential damage. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'll put 2 into Drax. So discard Assault. And then the encounter card that's dealt is a Sand Slide. It says, when revealed, place 2 sand counters on city streets, then resolve its Surging Sands ability. If at least 1 Sandman card was discarded this way, you are stunned. Alright, so we got to place 1 onto the city streets. And we discard 2 cards, right? We do it. Oh, so it's place 2 sand counters. Yeah, that's what it says. It says place 2 sand counters on city streets, then resolve it. So we got to put 2 on there. And then here's the 3 cards that are discarded. The first one is a Sandman card. Second one is a Sand Clone. Third one is a Panic in the Streets. So discard all those. I'm stunned. Add a stun. And that is a Sand Slide. Discard that. Ending Sandman's turn. Turn things back over to the Guardians. Alright, so we're going to trigger dealing 4 damage to an enemy. Or we're going to remove 3 threat from a scheme. Let's start by removing 3 threat from a scheme. So we'll take 3 off of the main. And we'll discard Cutthroat Ambition. We'll do 4 damage into Sandman, which is going to clear him. And we'll discard stage 1. And then stage 2 pops out. Then it says, resolve the Surging Sands ability on the city streets. And then we got still that Sandblast ability. Indirect damage. Take any amount of damage from the attack. Surging Sands goes off. So we're going to place 1 more counter on city streets. And we'll discard 4 cards. Let's see how many cards are left in the encounter deck. Must be getting pretty low. Yeah, there's only 10 cards left. So 4 cards here are going to be Sandstorm, Scorpion, Assault, and Tail Sweep. Okay, and that's the end of Sandman's turn, right? No, it's not. This is my turn. Really awesome. I like it with Nebula. I'm reading your comment here, Lexicon. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy support is really awesome. I like it with Nebula. It really accelerates her card draw, which is really solid. Great deck. Thanks. Thank you. All right. So, I don't have any. I got Honorary Guardian I could put on to, say, one of these guys. All right. How do I handle my turn? Weapons Master, Wide Stance, First Aid. We got to do 18 damage to Sandman. So Drax is first going to hit Sandman for 3. Takes him down to 15. Yondu is 1, 2, 3. We can do 3 damage with Yondu onto Sandman. Takes him down to 12. We got to place 1 consequential damage onto Drax. Gamora is going to hit Sandman for 2. How about an Honorary Guardian? If I put Honorary Guardian onto... Let's put it on Drax. I do need to put 1 consequential into Gamora. So we're going to put Honorary Guardian on Drax. That's going to put Drax in pretty good shape. I can heal Drax. Let's take a look and see. I've got 3 cards left in my deck. If I deck myself, I'll deal myself an additional encounter card. So I'm sitting in pretty good shape right now. Cosmo we could use Cosmo to kind of absorb some damage so that I don't have to trigger that City Streets. I don't want him triggering City Streets again. He doesn't have very many cards left in his deck. I want to win this game on my next turn. So I got 3 cards left in my deck. I'm going to end up with a hand size of 5. So if I spend anything, it'll be to exhaust Nebula's ship to play let's do Weapons Master. No, let's do First Aid. We'll use Nebula's ship to do First Aid onto Drax. We'll heal Drax up all the way, discard First Aid, and then we will... I'm going to stay. I'm not going to spend any of this stuff. I'm not going to toss any of these cards off because I don't want to deck myself. It's kind of a cheaty thing to do, right? But yeah, I just need to do 4 damage or 10 damage. So clear the stun with Nebula, and I'm going to advance the phase. I'm not going to spend the rest of my cards. I got Call for Backup. Ooh, that could be really cool. Call for Backup. All right, so we're going to place 1 threat on Hapless Pedestrians. Sandman's going to attack for 3 plus a boost, which is 0. So I'm going to put 3 damage into Drax. Discard the Sand Clone. And then the encounter card is an advance. So we draw a boost of 2. So we're going to place 3 threat onto Hapless Pedestrians. And I think that could be a win for us. Let's see. So that's going to end Sandman's turn. We are going to attack with Drax. We're going to do 3 damage into Sandman. We're going to attack with Yondu to do 3 damage into Sandman. We'll attack with Gamora to do 2 damage into Sandman. And then we'll attack with Nebula to do 2 damage into Sandman. So that's it. End of the game. We're able to take down Sandman this evening using an awesome Guardians of the Galaxy deck. Yeah, so not decking myself, not playing cards or discarding cards allowed me to remain 1 card in my deck so that I didn't have to draw an extra encounter card. I was really trying to avoid hitting them Surging Sands for whatever reason. I just didn't want to do it. And there was only 3 cards left in the encounter deck. So we didn't pass all the way through the encounter deck, so I didn't have to add that extra acceleration token. So that was my thinking there at the end. I know I kind of soft-pedaled through that second last turn, but I really just wanted to kind of try to maintain the board state and not let things get too far out of control. I knew there's a good chance I would have the game in hand there at the end. So what could I have done at the end there? I could have also called for backup, which would have allowed me to maybe use Cosmo to do some damage and then go find another Guardian that's in my discard pile. So what other Guardian allies did I have in my discard pile? So it's a 50 card deck. So it took me a little bit before I actually saw an ally. So I also had Rocket in there. I think I only had 6 total allies in my deck. But you'll notice that all these different upgrades that I've got in here, like Reinforced Suit, I was just trying to trigger the responses. Hey, thanks, Lexicon. Thanks for dropping in and watching me play this evening. And I really appreciate you hopping in and visiting with me here a little bit. Also had Groot. I think those are my 6 allies I had in my deck. I had Gamora, Drax, Cosmo, Yondu, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon. So call for backup. I've played this deck one time before, and I used call for backup to go find Groot. And I just piled all kinds of extra goodies on Groot, like a laser blaster and inspired, and he was able to absorb and heal a tremendous amount of damage. So anyway, so thanks for watching. I am the Board Game Lawyer. You can catch me here on Twitch. You can catch me on YouTube. Often I'll upload these videos to my YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel if you like to check in and see some of the games I played before. So Lexicon in closing says, my pleasure, fun game. I was listening while my wife and I played some of a game ourselves. Okay, cool. Yeah. Was you playing Champions or did you got another game? You too, Lexicon. You have a good night as well. So anyhow, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you later. Have a good evening and take care.